So good day, everybody. It's Sharleen Linton, the vocal alchemist, and I help you with your speaking voice and your singing voice with absolutely exquisite technique. And as an alchemist, I'm able to read and hear the exact energetic frequencies contained within your speaking and singing voices. And that means that I can hear your belief system and your characteristics. And I help you to get out of your own way by cultivating the types of characteristics that really lend themselves to you fulfilling the vision that you have for your career. So today I've got an amazing woman that I'm going to be interviewing called Khadijah Owens. She is a voiceover artist. Her voice, her speaking voice, has been deeply inspirational to me, to the point I even wrote a post about it. And once you hear her speak, you will understand exactly why. And she is a feminine embodied woman, and I'll let her explain to you a bit more about what that means. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so good to be here with you today. And please
Mm.
excuse Tosh making a cameo right now.
I can't see. Is it your cat? Oh yeah, hi baby.
Sorry about that.
Good.
Bit of a diva. So yes, being a feminine embodied woman, that just means that my essence, my entire being is forged around my feminine essence. I don't have a masculine side. I am fully woman, feminine. I am. And that means that I believe in sourcing my life from that space. I don't need to check out of it in order to get things done. In order to be heard, in order to be seen. I fully trust the way I was made to sustain me and to serve my purpose and to thrive in this world.
Thank you so much for saying that, because you know, speaking to women, there is a tendency for us to be feminine embodied, to be softer, to be vulnerable in certain spaces in our lives, such as our relationship or with our children. And then when we get to the workplace, we feel the need to put on a persona that doesn't necessarily reflect the heart of us, but we feel it's necessary in order to get ahead and to get things done, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting to me because it shows up in the voice. Everything that you're thinking, feeling, believing shows up in the speaking voice. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I would love to know about kind of your background. As I mentioned to everybody listening, you're now a voiceover artist. I'd like to hear about the journey that led to that.
Oh, wow. Well, I have always wanted to be an actress since I was a child. I don't know where that came from, perhaps just watching television and seeing this fantasy world and going, oh, wow, I want to do that. And all the way from being part of school plays and different little things like that, all the way up through to high school and starring in different plays and seeing how people reacted to how real I was, that it made me feel good. It was fulfilling, it was affirming. Being on stage in front of everyone and everyone applauding you, saying good job, is one of performance art is one of very few areas where you can just immediately reap the benefits of hey, good job. No better way than to receive that affirmation that you did well than through that audience interaction and through people's, through how they vibe with you. It's the instant gratification right there. And it was wonderful. It's addicting. And in college, something changed where I just didn't feel it anymore. And so I hid for a good long while. And well, as you know, I didn't want to do that anyway. It's you know, it's not what I need to get a real job and
Right. Yeah.
even moved to Los Angeles back in 2009. But I did the opposite of what most people do when they move to Los Angeles. I didn't go to get a day job waiting tables and grind all day, going to auditions and things like that. That just the thought of that made me cringe. And I got a regular day job. I had one waiting for me before I moved there, which according to my voiceover teacher, Rodney Salisbury, he said that never happens. I had taken some classes from him. I don't know if you've heard of the Zatarans commercials, but he's a Zatarans man. Jazz it up with Zatarans. That's him. And he's done a bunch of other things. And I was actually thriving for a little while, doing a home-based business, doing voiceover work. My voice was used as the first in the first interactive mall kiosks developed by this corporation called the Logan Corp. So I did this is how you get here and this is how you get
Oh,
there
yes,
type of thing.
lovely.
And that was a lot of fun. And I was also working part-time at a jazz radio station and a television station. So it's funny how the universe will always just sort of put you in those little places when you're not trying. And it was that's how it happened. I didn't actively seek that out in order to say, hey, I'm going to start here and get there. It's just, oh, that would be fun. Oh, let me see. Oh, let me try that. Oh, let me see what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And I did really well. And then I would start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. That was before I moved to Los Angeles. Got to Los Angeles and I was like, there's no way I'm going to tackle that beast in LA. Nope, not happening. I'm just going to do the 9 to 5 thing, enjoy myself, which I did. I had a career in digital media for 7 years. And the thing about being in the corporate world, at least for me, trying to fit into that world, I would only get so high because I didn't want to be that successful as everyone else around me was. I didn't care about that. I liked the perks. I liked seeing parts of LA and experiencing LA in ways I never would have otherwise. It was ideal because I was on the client side, so everybody was trying to hit me up and just throwing favors at me and things like that. It was wonderful. And then that dried up. I said, okay, it's time for me to go. This isn't fun anymore. Now I'm just an everyday Joe. I don't like that. And I was at that place, and that's where my that coincided with the start of my reclaiming my feminine self. Because none of that was by accident. My lack of ambition was not an accident, and it wasn't a flaw inside of me. My journey, and I have to mention Sri Namaste, who has mentored me and helped me to realize that it was okay to not be ambitious. And I decided to move and leave LA for Vegas to chill. And I know Vegas and chill don't necessarily go together.
No.
But outside of the Strip, Vegas is just a regular old town. And it's very tiny and very quiet. Deafeningly quiet. And being there by myself, I realized, okay, I want to put down roots, but this isn't the place to do that. It was a great place to just get my head together and find a new way to live, which is how I ended up here in Austin, Texas, where I am now. And my mother used to say, "You, when you know better, you do better. You don't know until you know." And I knew, although I had been hearing people and mentors and gurus and spiritual people and friends say over and over again, why don't you just do your voiceover work? I mean, you have gifts. You don't need to be in the corporate world. You're talented. Why don't you just do that? Well, you don't just do that, do you? Of course not. Like, somebody has to accept you. Somebody has to deem you worthy for you to get work. Like, it doesn't just happen like that. But then someone told me, you can't serve two masters. You can't serve two masters. And it's either I believe in this outside entity sustaining me, or I believe that the divine has given me gifts that can not just sustain me, but help me thrive. That's why I have those gifts.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're there.
Mm.
I remember when Prince and David Bowie passed away, and the stories that went around about them and how they changed the face of the whole world and pop culture. And they were just being themselves. They weren't trying to do anything. They were just being who they were.
Mm.
And when I came to that realization that I didn't have to try, I already had everything that I needed. Oh, it was so powerful, but it was scary at the same time because I'm learning to do everything differently, everything, and put myself out there in a way that I never have before. I don't have a team to disappear, and I don't have a title to hide behind. This is me, and who I am, the way I was born, is absolutely perfect.
Mm.
So here I am again, where I've decided to use my gifts and share them
Yeah.
and create. Because that's the only time I'm really happy, is when I'm being creative.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm stuck into this rote routine every day, I get bored. But I pretend I like it because I thought that that's what I had to do.
Mm.
And staying open and listening to myself, listening to what the divine has for me, and trusting that I'm fine, that everything is absolutely fine.
Mm.
And I've never, when I look back, even as I tell people about my journey,
Mm-hmm.
you know how you can read someone's eyes where they're just shocked and
Mm.
like, you went through all that, and I didn't feel like I was going through anything,
Right.
but I could see where on the outside looking in,
Mm.
it would look pretty tumultuous,
Mm.
but I never missed a beat. I was in Vegas for 8 months and I didn't have a job, but all of my bills were paid.
Oof.
I went out, I ate well, I drank well, didn't miss a beat, didn't want for anything, still don't.
I am very deeply moved by you and what you've just shared, because there's such a juxtaposition between not having ambition, which in itself is a kind of a dirty phrase. Like, what do you mean? You don't have ambition. You know, not having ambition and where that meets thriving. Like, and to modern society, those two things do not go together.
Hmm.
And so, what I would love to hear from you, I mean, what I noticed as a thread, you know, weaved throughout your story is this was fun. I was having fun. And it wasn't so fun. That word fun was coming up again and again and again. So I would love to hear from you, for our watchers, our viewers, what that all means in terms of letting go of the ambition and still thriving, because that is a concept that needs to be explored.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to hear from you about that.
Yeah. Wow. Letting go of ambition and still thriving. I think that I know I'm a living testimony to that. The fact that I don't have to, and I'm just speaking as a feminine woman, the way men do things is completely different. My whole being is fed by um, being collaborative, being creative. That's who I am. And I trust that my creativity will, it's meant for me to thrive. I, I can only thrive through that. So ambition isn't part of that picture. It doesn't need to be.
Mm.
It doesn't need to be. I don't need to claw and scratch and climb
Mm.
and disrupt anything.
Mm-hmm.
I am the job.
Mm. Mm.
And I know I'm good at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes through. And people notice that.
Yeah.
People are going to see that.
Mm.
The rose doesn't have to try to be beautiful
Yeah.
or try to bloom. It just happens. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever walk by a rose and not look at it?
Mm.
Even the ones that are not so perfect or just a little bit wilted, a little bit brown, maybe somebody didn't water them or I don't know what they call it, clip the out, whatever they do to them, I don't know, to make sure that they're blooming the way they're supposed to bloom. You look at all of them and appreciate every last one of them for what they're bringing. You don't have to try.
Mm.
And ambition, just what is that? I don't know what that is. I don't care. I don't
Mm.
care. It has nothing to do with me.
Mm.
And I'm so relaxed now.
Mm.
I don't need it. It's
Yeah.
really not necessary. And that's not coming from a place where, oh, I tried being ambitious and it didn't work, so I'm just going to say that I don't need it. I don't need it
Right.
because it's not part of my equation. It's not part of my makeup.
Mm. Mm. Hmm. What's interesting about what you're saying is, you know, even using the metaphor of a rose and its beauty, like roses in a rose garden, they don't try to grow, they don't try to be beautiful, they just grow because it's part of their nature, and they're beautiful because it's part of their nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that relaxation, as you mentioned, allowing yourself to be, allowing what feels fun and what feels good to form and to guide you along the pathway rather than it has to be like this. And if it isn't like this, I'm going to try and strive and deplete myself. Because the other thing is, you know, linking it back to women in corporate UK, corporate America, around the world, is that there are things that we do as women that do deplete us. And striving is one of them. And I'll never forget, we had a prime minister here, a female prime minister, and there was a point where she started to lose her voice. And I said to myself, I want to get my hands on her, first of all, to help her. But secondly, I knew that she was under an immense amount of stress. And the voice was just the signal to let her know, hold on a minute, we are depleted. We need a minute here, and you're pushing too hard. And so with women, it shows up in different ways, and it shows up in our womb health. It shows up in our voices. It shows up everywhere. And I just really love that you've demonstrated how using ease and fun as almost like a barometer, like unconsciously, can really help you stay in that safe place where you're not depleted, where you're just being guided, and it's way more effortless, you know? I mean, as I'm listening to your voice, you know, listening to your vocal code, I think it's one of the smoothest voices I've ever come across. Now, just to explain to the listeners, when I hear, and the viewers, when I hear a voice, I either see it like it shows up like a barcode. And you know, on a barcode, there's thick lines and thin lines and thick lines and thin lines. Or I just see on my mental windscreen words. So when you were speaking, what I could see is just really smooth lines. It's like, it's so peaceful, like birds on a pond, and it's a beautiful day, and they're not even kicking underneath the surface, they're just floating. Floating downstream, and it's easy. And what I could really hear in the upper frequencies of your voice is a lot of delight and a lot of play. And on the lower parts of your voice, the lower frequencies, the deeper frequencies, I can hear a lot of, like you are entrenched, deeply, firmly rooted in the decision that you've made to embody who you really are as a feminine woman. And that you are not easily uprooted from that position, like at all. You've made the decision and you are all in, and this is what you have decided for yourself. There is also a very goddess quality to your voice where you're not easily rattled about things. It's just like honey and sunshine.
Honey and sunshine, I'll take that.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to listen to.
Everybody loves the sunshine.
Exactly. They really do. So I wanted to ask you a question, because you said that you were in Vegas for 8 months.
Yes.
You didn't have a job, but you all your bills were paid. I just want to do a shout. Come on. Come on, for the bills being paid. Hallelujah. So, you said that you were in Vegas, bills were paid, and not only that, you were going out socially and doing your thing. Now, all of that stuff costs money. So what I want to know is, what were the practical ways that you were being supported? Like, how did that work? Because those two things, again, they don't go together. No job and social life. They just don't. So how was it for you?
Mm, how was that? How did that happen? I don't know. I think about it. I don't know. It's just like, how did that happen?
Was it a case of people donating to you? Were you being
No,
supported by family or?
no.
Mm,
What was I doing? Oh yeah, I had a little freelance thing I was doing online, but that wasn't, mm, everything. That was like my walking around money, and um, and it wasn't that much. It was just something to do to pass the time, and I didn't even start doing that until 2 months before I left Vegas. So before that, thank goodness, the working in media in Los Angeles is very lucrative. So thank God I had savings, and I was very blessed because not a lot of people can not work for 8 months and be good. And yeah, it was just, other than that, I mean, but it wasn't like I was depleting my savings either.
you just wonder, like,
It was where'd I get my money from? God, I mean, I yeah, people were donating to me. Um, I had my little freelance gig. I probably made $100 a week. And another thing too is that Vegas is not expensive outside of the strip.
right.
Cost of living is super low.
Okay.
So it's not like a major city like London or Los Angeles. It's like
Yeah.
in Los Angeles a cocktail costs $12. In Vegas it's two.
Okay.
All right.
Hmm.
So you can have a good time off of the strip. Those of you who plan on going to Vegas, stay off the strip. Go downtown or
Yeah.
North Las Vegas. Um, yeah, it's really not expensive there compared to
Mm,
LA. It costs nothing to live there in comparison. So
mm.
I just I don't know how I made it. It just
It's
did.
just amazing.
Yeah.
It's simply amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
And the government does take care of their own. So when you're not working, so that there's always that to lean on when you have a setback.
sure. Yeah,
So,
I
but
hear you. I hear you. I do. So I wanted to ask you, in your journey, how have you noticed your voice change over time?
well, I noticed that it's gotten softer. I studied broadcasting in college, and I was told by a professor that I needed to project more. And it was really strange, the context in which he told me that, because I was at the bookstore and I was asking a question, and he felt the need to give me some advice, as well intended as it was, and so you make sure people hear you, and you gotta learn how to. Okay, okay, thank you. And so um, I've had so many different kinds of jobs. I used to sell cars, and um, it wasn't glamorous at all. That was a very ambitious. Sales is very ambitious in that context, because
Right.
I had to compete. Like, you're literally standing outside the dealership and grabbing people. So um, there was a lot of that authoritative, or what I thought was authoritative, tone coming from me.
Mhm.
And but since my journey, it has softened. I've learned that I don't need to project. I don't need to put any bass in my voice.
Mhm.
Um, I just talk,
Mhm.
and that old saying that you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar.
Mm.
Um, I don't like to yell. I can't tell you the last time I've ever yelled.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, I don't
Mm.
remember. When I was working in media, I was usually one of two or the only woman on my team. And the men I worked with almost demanded that I be mean to them. It was really a strange dynamic. I would ask a question, and it was a running joke between us. There was a difference between, hey, you guys, I was thinking, okay, hey, gers.
Right, right, right.
Oh, there she is. Yeah, what do you want? And
Right,
it was like, okay, I guess I have to talk to you like dogs for you to pay
right,
attention to me.
right.
Um, but after that, and I guess that's why I left that too, because it demanded so much of my soul, media
Mm.
in particular, and
Mhm.
because media is changing everything that I learned. Uh, eh, let's see, the last media job I had was last July, and just the longer I stayed in it, the less and less I liked it. And as I morphed back into my true self, it just felt more and more yucky to be there. Media changes so fast. Everything that I knew then, I'm sure, is done a completely different way now.
Mhm.
And in order to be good, you have to live and eat and breathe it 24/7.
Mm.
And I just didn't want to. And more of me was becoming exposed, more and more of what I didn't know because I didn't want to know.
Mm.
It's like, when I go home, I want to go home.
Right.
I don't want to read the trades. I don't want to do any of that. I want to relax.
Mhm.
But
There's that no ambition again. Mm.
no, no, I
Mhm.
didn't. I really did not care. And that coincided with my voice just getting more and more and more strong in its natural state.
Mhm.
And part of my broadcasting training, my theatrical training, I'm sure plays a part in that too.
Mhm.
Um, I can command attention eh, without even really having to try to. But it's softer. It's softer. It's more velvety,
Mm.
and it's coming into its own now. I like
Mm. I'm glad that you like it. That's important.
it.
And talking about being able to command attention, what I wrote about you um, on my page, and by the way, if you're not on my page already, you can follow me on Facebook, Sharleen, the Vocal Alchemist.
Okay, I'm doing
Um,
that right now if I'm
I
not
am.
already.
Yeah, Sharleen, the Vocal Alchemist, on Facebook and Instagram. I do have a Twitter also, but I'm mainly on those two things. My channel on YouTube is My Vocal Therapy. Um, so those are the places that you can find me, and also myvocaltherapy.com.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you something. What was it? That was it. It wasn't a question. It was more an observation, because you and I have the same feminine mentor,
Hmm.
and we went to a retreat. I went to Austin, Texas in April. And, that's the first time and only time that I've met you. And it
Hmm.
was an amazing experience meeting you, meeting the other ladies. And you know how women are, after class is finished, I guess, call it class,
Yeah.
we're all like standing around chattering and everything. And I will never forget that you spoke to the room to give a directive, and everybody went silent. And
I remember that.
I will never forget it, because you didn't raise your voice, you didn't try to project, you just spoke with the intention of getting people's attention, and you did exactly that. And one of the things that I teach to singers and to speakers is the ability to draw people into you. A lot of the time, especially with singers who sing at functions, weddings, corporate events, singers who are independent artists or new and unknown, there is a tendency to think I need to be louder and bigger than what I am to grab your attention.
Hmm.
And what that does is it produces a type of voice which isn't necessarily true.
Mm.
It's just the voice that you use to grab people because you perceive and you believe that that is what is necessary. And it was so beautiful to hear an example of what I teach through you. And like no other that I've ever seen, a room full of 40 women chattering, you speak, everyone's silent. Another singer that I speak about quite a lot, she's a singer actress called Cynthia Erivo. I'm not sure if you've heard of her. She played Celie on Broadway, Color Purple,
Okay.
and then she went on to do film. And
Yeah.
she does the same thing on stage, and it's the same kind of vocal code. When she is on stage, she has this ability when she sings to not come out of her body in order to connect. She expects people to come forward to connect with her.
Wow.
And she lives in the States now. Her and I were on the same singing circuit here in London. She's gone to the States, she's doing her thing. And she came over for a BAFTA event, um, which is a like British television film thing. And I got to chat with her. We were at the same event. And I mentioned that phenomenon to her of her drawing people in. And she just kind of shyly giggled because she knows and she understands um, the attractive magnetic pull.
Yes.
However, it only comes when you have decided to be self-contained. And I'm making this shape, and I mentioned shapes before. Some people's shape of their voice is like this. You can see my hand. It's a
Yes.
cupped hand, almost looks like a hat. And the design of this shape is to cover over. You can cover your hand, your mouth with it, cover your eyes. It's to cover over. People who tend to have this shape tend to try and project an image of themselves that is capable, competent, smart. I can do it. I can do it. And underneath, there's a whole lot of stuff that nobody else sees.
Mm.
With your shape is like a column, similar to Cynthia's. And it makes me think of those who read the Bible, those who are religious. When Moses was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt to Canaan, the Bible says that God's presence was like a pillar of clouds by day and a pillar of fire by night. And they knew that that was God's presence, and they would follow this pillar out into Canaan, to the promised land. And that rod-like shape signifies a self-contained voice where yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Just getting downloads as I'm talking to you. It's the art of containment, and our mentor talks about this, where you are able to, how do I articulate this? Your sense of being is based on a decision, and it's not based on what other people or society tell you you should be. And because there is a sense of detachment there, it is easy to just enjoy being you. And it's, again, I'm doing this with my hands, and it's like you create your own four walls, your own boundaries, and within that you are home. And they're not walls to keep people out, they're just boundaries. This is, and you are so home within that column. You are so safe. You are not externally focused, and your voice responds. And I always say this to my clients and people who come on a consultation call with me and in my social media: whatever your mind tells your voice to do, your voice says, okay. The answer is never no, it's always yes. And so if you tell your voice, I am safe, I am protected, which is what that signifies too. I am loved, I am valuable, I am worthy. The voice warms up by itself. And if you tell your voice, I am afraid, I am intimidated, I am threatened, the voice says, okay. And it manifests in straining for high notes. Like, my goodness, you can learn to pull those things down into your body. Attract them to you, don't reach for them. And so in regards to your vocals, I can hear delight on the top end, as I mentioned to you before, but your voice doesn't have a lot of fluctuations. It's not like a it's not like that. The range that you speak in is pretty, it's right here. It's quite mid-range, low to mid. And that tells me that that tells me that there is a lot of safety in your life, and that there isn't a lot of volatility in regards to you being cared for. Amen. It's not a case of sometimes you feel cared for and the next minute, you know, oh my God, where are you, God? It's not that. It's very even, smooth. And it makes me emotional. because I always say to public speakers and to singers that your audience can hear your vocal code. They just don't know what it is that they're listening to. And so you can become a powerful orator who goes down in history, not because you are stammerless or because you have the right technique, but because of who you are and who you allow yourself to be. And so the technique, once you are embodied in the truth of how loved, valuable, safe, protected you are, the truth of that takes care of the technique a lot of the time, which is why I don't coach technique first. So what I'd love to know from you is, as your voice was changing, was the type of voiceover work that you were offered, did that shift?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. My voice tends to attract people who want to do meditative and affirmation videos, which is fantastic. um, hey, I have no problem with that. I love it. It feels good to do, and I have the another thing that shifted for me, or that I've come into the realization of, is that I have the ability to tap into the energetic frequency of the audience. In other words, what my client wants their audience to feel, I can tap into that and pull that into my voice. If
Oh. I can't even cope. Oh my God. Oh man. Oh.
If my client wants the audience to feel relaxed, to feel safe, to feel informed, I can do that.
Mm. That is just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And what I want my audience to really know is that there is an attractive quality in your speaking voice which affects your parenting, your teaching, your online marketing, anywhere that you use your voice in your profession, in your life. Those qualities that you bring with you onto stage. Every time you speak, you become a living, breathing invitation to more opportunities on the spot. If you are a parent and a teacher, I want you to know that the children in your care, they love to listen to you. I promise. And it may not seem that way, but children love boundaries. They love knowing where they stand. They love being obedient. They desire to obey you. And they, more than anybody, children are also responding to the energetic frequencies of your voice. They know when they can push the boundaries and they know when they cannot. They are responding to you. Your audience, public speakers, are responding to you. Your audience, singers, artists, rappers, they are responding to you. So you get to be an attraction generator. where opportunities aren't coming from the outside into you, where you're either a victim of lack of opportunities or crushing it because there's an abundance of opportunities. You actually generate those things every time you speak and every time you sing. And I really enjoyed the shift that your journey has taken, the types of opportunities that you are now attracting. And that you are delighted. I'm genuinely moved by listening to you. And I want to thank you so much. Is there anywhere on social media that people can find you?
Well, I am on Facebook as Khadijah Owens for now. I also just started an ASMR channel called Voice Like Butter ASMR. Yeah.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Just a little project that I'm playing with, and I'm also on Fiverr under Khadijah Owen 900. And yeah, I'm all over the place.
Amazing. Amazing. Is there anything else that you'd like to add or maybe ask me?
How you are so gifted, and your ability to read into people's voices is something that I have never come across, and it's such a beautiful thing. How how did that start?
Thank you. First of all, it started around this time last year.
Wow.
I realized, I think I was watching the television or something, or listening to something, watching something on YouTube. And I listened, I closed my eyes and I listened, and I was like, you're going through this. This is happening right now. You really mean that, or you don't really mean that at all. I could just hear it. I can't explain it. And then it developed into me seeing barcodes, me seeing shapes. And I think with any gift, as you become aware of it, and I think passion and love is its own is its own abundance generator. And the more I love what I do, is the more the gift expands.
Mm.
And I was able to read Sri Namaste's voice, our mentor. And I've never told her. I've just done it with myself, to myself, and just being in awe of her speaking voice, and that she really walks her talk. And that is very powerful for me, to learn from somebody who is embodied in their truth. So, I mean, there's 6 billion people on the planet. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who has this gift. And if you're out there, I would love to talk to you. It would be nice to, come across a community of vocal code readers. And yeah, I called it a vocal code. Other people may call it something different, because I really believe that the blueprint to realize the vision that you have for your life is literally within you. And it's one of those cliches, I guess, that people hear, especially from the spiritual community. But as I am reading people's vocal codes, I'm realizing how true that is.
Mm.
Because there are characteristics that you believe to be you, and they're not you. They're just beliefs. They're not facts. And those beliefs are shaping your life right now. And so if anyone is watching this and would like to work with me, then myvocaltherapy.com is the best bet. And I'm going to put all the links below and everything, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook if you desire. But I wanted to say thank you, Khadijah. You are awesome.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. So much
Mhm.
fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm. Thanks for being here, my love.
Absolutely.
Okay.